to the show, Peter Lancaster from Birmingham, Alabama. Peter, welcome from Prince.
Greetings from Birmingham, guys. What's going on?
All right. Hey, I love it when you say greetings from Birmingham.
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, look, there's some great things going on in the NBA. Well, there's only a couple of teams, four or five teams out there playing. Four to be exact. But, hey, it looked a little better last night for our Memphis Grizzlies. It kind of reminded you of the Clippers series. And what do you think, my friend? What's going on here? And hold on just a minute. Josh, you had something to say?
Yeah, I was kept kind of leading into a little bit, but
yeah, go ahead.
The Grizzlies losing 93-89 last night, Peter, and it was a lot better looking of a game, and as far as the outcome. But what are your thoughts on what went down and the way it went down?
Well, was that not the best roller coaster ride you've ever been on?
I'm telling you.
You know, we always talk about this, you know, on the show, guys. We're never too high, we're never too low. Well, last night was the exception. We were all over the place. It was incredible highs and some incredible lows. But the biggest thing is we fought.
Mm-hmm.
We fought back, and we made that a game. And I think in looking how that Spurs team looked, coming off that floor in Game 2 as opposed to Game 1, they know they're in for a dogfight now. So I think it's on. Ring the bell, man. We're going to bring it Saturday bigger and better than ever.
Definitely. You know, looking at this series, like Bob was saying, you can really compare it to the Clippers series. I know I even put up on Facebook last night. It reminded me just like the Clippers series where in Game 1, you couldn't even recognize this Grizzlies team. In Game 2, you know, it was like more of the same to some degree, but in the fourth quarter, you make a tremendous comeback on 21. Outscoring the Spurs 21-9 in that fourth quarter, and coming back to tie that game, which is unbelievable stat when I looked at that. And you know, losing in overtime there at the end. But what was your thoughts on that? Is that a fair comparison in your mind?
Oh, definitely. Most definitely. And, you know, but the difference between the Clippers and the Spurs is Popovich.
Yeah.
And that's where, you know, we really got to hone in is what adjustments is he going to make? Because he obviously made adjustments in Game 2. They went inside a whole lot more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Splitter had a great game. Duncan was held to 11 until halftime. He had 6 points there in overtime, so I kind of padded his stats just a little bit. But for the most part, we did a pretty good job defending the post. But that's where that defense adjustments came in on our part is we didn't allow so many threes to be jacked up.
Mm-hmm.
So they knew that was going to happen. So what did they do? They penetrated and dished it off. Splitter had at least 8 points off dunks last night.
Yeah.
So that, you know, there's little things here and there that do mirror the Clippers series. Don't get me wrong, but I think the difference is Del Negro is less than Popovich. So you know, we're going to have to kind of, you know, get out there in the first quarter on Saturday and kind of see what adjustments he's made too. And I say, man, let's just go all out. We need to have, you know, Brian brought this up when I called in Monday. We need to start off a little bit faster.
Yep.
You know, I mean, we're only down by 2, but there's no excuse for that. We got to score more than 13 points in the opening quarter.
Yeah, I mean, that's ridiculous. And, you know, Zach Randolph's play, even though he looked a lot better last night with 15 points, 18 rebounds, 3 of 8 from the free throw line, which is just absolutely brutal. Missed so many free throws, it was painful. And, you know, I talked about an interview I had earlier today. It just seemed like in Game 1, a little bit in Game 2, the moment is too big for Zach Randolph. But I think he's starting to round back around. He checked himself a little bit, looked in the mirror, is like, I got to step up. You're one of the leaders on this team. You can't afford for him to be wide-eyed and looking in this situation, which I do think he was until later in that game, which he did, you know, come around. I do think when he get back.
You're right. I think Zach Randolph is beginning to really to come around now.
Yeah.
We wish he had to come around earlier in the first game, but hey,
even in the first half, he wasn't even present in the first half.
Right. Better late than never, and so I think things are beginning to happen and turn around here for the Grizzlies. What I can say, and Peter, what do you think?
Well, the thing, too, about Zach is he got to get that ball up on the backboard a little bit more. He's kind of swinging it just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, what I mean by that, it gives other people opportunities to crash the basket. and come in and try to help rebound. He had a couple of shots, so he just got it up on the backboard. Number one, I think he would have made it, but I think it also gives opportunities for guys like Tony Allen and Poindexter and Bayless to come in. Those guys that kind of cut to the basket, kind of give them a chance to keep the ball alive. But I mean, come on, Z-Bo had 18 rebounds, so he was at least trying. Let's put it that way, especially in the second half. I mean, that little 7-shot thing we had right there right before halftime, that was kind of demoralizing. But they were fighting, man. And, in the fourth quarter, to hold the Spurs to 9 points, that's incredible.
Yeah, and I think the thing the Grizzlies really have to work off of is the fourth quarter of the game last night. I mean, they finally started to get it going, and what I kind of saw there at the end of the game was they chose to go a little bit smaller. Mm-hmm. They had Zach and Mark out there, but the other three players, they chose to go small, and that really had an impact on the game. Like, I felt, they had these younger, smaller guys that are really quick out there. I felt that really opened up the court and allowed Zach and Mark to get more into the game as well.
Yeah, and I think that kind of indirectly helped us out, too, with our defense, too, because we went on a 15-2 run there, in the last minutes of that game, and look how many shots we missed in those last, 6 or 7 possessions. I think
it was 85-78 for 5 minutes.
Yes. Was that killing you guys?
Yeah, absolutely.
They were trying so hard, but it was just not going. I mean, Gasol had that dunk that should have happened in overtime, and he just didn't have enough left. And Duncan, of course, made a great defensive play. Of course, part of the credit goes to him. But, when you hold them to 4 of 18 in the fourth in shooting and hold them to 9 points, and Parker got 5 of those kind of early in that quarter, too. So you're really talking about almost half of that quarter holding them to 4 points. That's really impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious what you guys think as far as the Marc Gasol question. I know he had 14 rebounds, 12 points as well, went 4 of 12 from the field in 42 minutes. But at the same time, a lot of people are mad at not going at Tim Duncan. I know, Bob, we talked about it last night.
Exactly. That was one of the things they failed to do last night. When Tim Duncan got in foul trouble, the Grizzlies should have been targeting him to get him out of the game in the fourth quarter. And before they went into overtime, they should have had him completely out of the game. Yes. I don't know why. It seemed like Marc Gasol keeps passing the ball back for some reason, and he needs to go ahead and take that shot and challenge the guy, especially when he's in foul trouble like that, and get that big guy out of there. Yep. And I think we would have been in a lot better position going into overtime.
And I don't think you're going to hear any of us complain about Marc Gasol being aggressive. Yeah. Granted, he was 4 of 12 shooting. I don't care if he's 4 of 20, as long as he's going to the paint or setting up his shot that he does right there at the top of the key. I have no problem with that. Mm-hmm. And I think he needs to understand that too. We mentioned that Monday when we were kind of reviewing over the first game. He's got to understand that he's got to be a huge part of this, along with Z-Bo, of course. We need him to, he needs to score anywhere from 15 to 20 for us to win in this series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, real quick.
I was just gonna ask. I think we're all in agreement that Tony Allen should not be shooting 3-point shots.
Oh my gosh!
That was the worst.
They seriously might want to consider putting up glass around the audience like they do at the NHL.
Look, Tony Allen is a dynamic player. He makes things happen. Yeah. He's a game changer. But my goodness, please.
Never shoot a three.
He don't have to shoot the three.
I saw how tired he was on that defensive end, and he was walking practically up the court. And when they passed him the ball behind the 3-point line, I was like, surely he's not about to shoot this. And sure enough, he did. And that was one of the worst air balls I've ever seen.
Like, you knew how tired he was. It's like, pass it back. It's like he thought he had to shoot it, like it was a hot potato or something.
I don't know. I think he had a flashback to 2K13 or something. He probably made it once, but. Speaking of not knowing what they're doing, Jared Bayless, with 10 seconds left in that game, like a hot potato, like Peter said, just jacked up a three. I'm like, what are you doing? He had a lane to the basket, if you guys noticed. He really could have had an easy layup and foul, but I don't know. It was several things down the stretch that was pretty aggravating to watch. And when we could have had that game, it was one point in overtime where I know the Spurs were just missing shots and the Grizzlies were missing shots. And, I really thought we had it in overtime, man. Just curious your guys' opinion on that.
I mean, that one play you were talking about where Jared at the end of the game there, he had a wide open lane to go down, and that would have cut it to 1 and given us a chance. Like if they missed one, for us to only be down 2 and only need a 2-point basket.
Yeah.
And the thing, you were talking about how how ridiculous it was. He didn't go down the lane. I mean, if you saw Lionel on that play, he said GD and some other things that probably we cannot say. And, I mean, he was really mad about that
on the air. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing about hero basketball too, guys. It's that live or die. It's that, you live or die by that hero basketball. And we hadn't really had to put up with that since we traded Rudy Gay. I think Bayless had the most shots. No, him and Randolph had the same. They both shot 18 shots.
Yep.
We're not going to win with Bayless taking the majority of our baskets. We're just not, because he likes that ISO basketball. I want him to be aggressive, but in the right spots.
Yeah, and granted, he was making a lot of his shots last night. He had a good game, but I agree with you there. I mean, the Grizzlies, they're not playing the basketball to their best if they're letting Jared Bayless take around 20 shots.
Yeah, Bayless was 20% from the 3-point line. So, that's the that's hero basketball. How about if he hit that shot? We would all be going crazy right now.
That's true.
Absolutely.
Hey, guys, we're going to take a commercial break right here. And I want to give a shout-out to Sherry Hensley at Business Over Coffee. And we had a national interview with them this morning. And we'll be on the internet television interview in the morning at Business Over Coffee. And today, Josh had an interview with Yahoo Sports Radio out of Houston, Texas.
Yes,
and we're going to play that interview later on in the show today, so stick around for that. And we'll be back after this commercial break. And Philip Dean, will be joining us. He's in the building right now, and lightning. No, not lightning.
Better late than never.
Yeah, better late than never. All right.
Pete, how are you doing today, buddy?
Hey, Philip, what's going on,
Thanks for being here, Philip. Hey, Brian Heater will be along at 3:30. And we've got Peter Lancaster on the other end, Birmingham, Alabama, WVTM. And Peter, welcome back, my friend.
Man, glad to be here, guys.
Yeah, most definitely. And, I know one of the most noteworthy things from this game was Tony Allen and the infamous flop, if you want to call it a flop. So a lot of people call it a flop. I don't necessarily call it a flop, rather than a good acting job, Peter. I like to call it that, but Emmy Award worthy, in my opinion. But what you think, Peter?
Well, here's the thing, though. A flop is something you do to draw a foul. The foul had occurred before, so I call it acting. It's not flopping.
Exactly.
The foul, he got yanked down in midair by Ginobili, so that's a flagrant foul. Whether people want to agree with that or not. Now, the acting, I thought he really whacked his head pretty good, and then they showed it in replay, and it was like a good 3 or 4 inches from his head to the ground. I was like, oh, Lord, here they come. I knew it was going to happen, man. You knew he was going to get booed, because Tony's not really that kind of player. I've never really seen him milk it that much. He does draw contact, and he does, sometimes he'll hit the ground, but I mean, that was Oscar. I mean, Denzel was like, damn, that was impressive.
Well, that was very good acting on his part last night, and everybody observed that, as a matter of fact. And Philip,
well, I thought he was even funnier that, like, Jalen Rose said he should win a Pulitzer Prize for that, which makes no absolute sense whatsoever.
Does he even know what that award is?
Probably not, Peter.
What do you think about Tony? Tony could parlay this into an acting career.
I think he just spent way too much time.
He could be in commercials now. Look at the greatest actors in the NBA. Chris Paul, he's now Cliff Paul. You got Blake Griffin visiting young Blake. Those are two of the biggest actors in the whole league. I think Tony could parlay this right into his own commercial campaign. Do it, T.A.
Yeah, I think he was spending way too much in that Clippers series around Blake Griffin and Chris Paul, where he learned how to flop like that.
Yeah, it rubs off.
It rubbed off very well.
One thing I gotta say, I know some people are saying it wasn't even a flagrant. I don't know how you could say it wasn't a flagrant. I mean, he didn't go after the ball. The definition of the rule, you know, if you're clearly not going after the ball, he grabbed his arms with two hands and pulled him down. That's clearly a flagrant to me.
Yeah, and the rest of it was all Tony Allen. Very, very good. Hey, the Grizzlies lost, as a matter of fact, 93 to 89. Very tough loss. You know, those guys came back very, very strong in the fourth quarter. Can we expect a good showing out of them coming up Saturday night, since they played this game, you know, pretty strong?
Hey, shout out to Josh, man. You called it, my man, on Monday. You said it. Should Quincy be considered to be interjected into the starting lineup? And why not? We're, you know, we now see what happens when we have a guy who's a threat on the outside.
Yep.
They do have to give Quincy a little bit more attention than do Tayshaun. Plus, Tayshaun doesn't necessarily spot up outside the arc. Let's be honest. Now, he does his little dribble in, but I'd rather have somebody who's not going to be afraid to shoot it. And I think Quincy has a little bit more going in his favor right now. I think he's got a little more confidence in the shot that Tayshaun does. So I say let's do it. Let's put Quincy in there, okay? And let's get Mark to be more aggressive. I think if we do those two little changes, play defense like we did in that fourth quarter, add pressure to Tony Parker just a little bit more, I think we can turn it around on Saturday and finally get in the win column.
Yeah, you were talking about Mark. There were some moments last night where he just had open lane where he could have just taken 2 dribbles and just dunked it, and he took a shot, and I'm just like screaming at the TV, just like, what are you doing? Like, even Quincy was taking a risk. He had that big jam in the fourth quarter.
That was awesome.
It just drives me nuts. Like, you're 7'1", you're one of the best centers in the league. Just, I'm not hating Mark. I'm just saying, just be a little bit more aggressive there. Go inside the paint. Tim Duncan's, I mean, you should be worried about Tim Duncan. If he fouls you, and you're one of
that's what you wanted to do.
And let him foul you. You're a great free throw shooter.
And also, you know, not to get off the point, but did anybody know that Quincy could get up like that?
I know he has some hops, but I didn't think that high. It's better than Matt Bonner.
Yeah, most definitely.
That jump ball between him and Steve-O.
The thing about Quincy, too, you know, he was playing great. My wife and I, we were at the Denver game when he got hurt. And, you know, that right before that game, man, Quincy was playing great. And I think it took a little time for him to get his legs back and his confidence back. But I think he's there. I think he's now checked in like he was late December, earlier, you know, in the season. I think Quincy's back, man. I really do. Let's go with it.
Now, is this Quincy, is he adding confidence to the rest of the team?
Well, I think so.
Absolutely. I would agree with that.
You know, I mean, you look at it even to himself. I mean, you know, a guy who definitely, you know, after the injury, you could tell he was hesitating on his shot, you know, hesitating really shooting anything. But now he's being that aggressor that he was to start the season, like Peter said. He's taking mid-range shots. He's driving to the basket, showing his athleticism because he's not just a shooter. He's pretty all around in his game. A
great defender.
Yeah.
I mean, him and Jared are bringing some great energy on the bench, unlike Darrell Arthur right now. But
God, Darrell, what?
Like, why is he guarding Tony Parker in the fourth quarter?
You know, I feel for Darrell, you know, because I really like him. I really do. But he's just not doing it right now.
You know,
he's not rotating correctly on defense. I mean, he was the sole reason why they had that they had like 11-1 run right before halftime. I mean, we don't need a double Duncan at 37 with Marc Gasol Defensive Player of the Year on him. Damn, Bonner.
Exactly.
Bonner didn't move last night. He just stood at the 3-point line and waited for someone to pass to him. He pulled the Derek Fisher move, just stood at the 3-point line, just like, all right, guys, wait for one of them to double team somebody, and I'll be wide open.
All right.
And that was Bonner's only 3-pointer the whole night, too.
Yeah, it was.
And the Grizzlies will be back here Saturday night at the Grindhouse at FedEx Forum, and the tip-off time of that game is going to be what time?
I'm guessing 8 p.m.
Yeah, somewhere around there. And we'll get the exact time just a little bit later. And I think those games are already sold out. Am I correct?
Yes, they are.
They're already sold out. And I tell you what, when they come back here, you're talking about some noise making. And I tell you, hey, it is going to be a great, great time in the city of Memphis when the Grizzlies tip off this coming Saturday night at the FedEx Forum. I tell you what, we're going to take a commercial break. And when we come back, Brian Heater is standing by.
Yes, sir. He's in the building.
And ready to go. We're going to talk Tiger sports when he comes back. Hey, coming up at 4 o'clock, Big TJ out of Fayetteville, North Carolina, is going to be joining us. And at 4:30, our good friend Richard Thompson, the founder of Mediaverse, he'll be in the house. Well, not be in the house. He'll be talking with us, as a matter of fact. And we got great things to talk to Richard about. Yes, y'all.
And I want to thank Peter for being on the show today.
Yes, Peter. Oh, we still got Peter on.
Yeah.
Peter, hey, my friend, it is always a pleasure to have you on, and we look forward to having you on each and every time when we get you on. And my friend, thanks for coming on today.
No problem, guys. Let's get it going, Grizz Nation. We'll win on Saturday.
Indeed, Peter. WBTM, Birmingham, Alabama. You're in tune to Talkback Live with Bob
and John.
7:30 Yahoo Sports.